YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my Week 4 college football power rankings. I do this video every single week, but this week, this video, it's going to be short and simple because not a lot of big changes at all because of what happened last week in college football, which is a bunch of nothing. A lot of easy opponents for these teams and not the most exciting games. So just very minor changes in this, but I expect bigger changes as we go on throughout the year because I will be back every single week with this. And so we're clear, because some people, when it comes to NFL or college football power rankings, think for some reason these are predictions. They have nothing to do with future rankings or future anything. It's power rankings week by week. 40K is our subscriber goal by the end of the year. Please help us out by subscribing. If you didn't know, we do have NFL coverage as well. Check all that out. Click the like button. Check us out on Twitter. Number 10. Here was one of the minor changes. I got Notre Dame getting in here. You know, if you're new to this video, you may be surprised they were not ranked before, but before last week, they've only had one game against Louisville. And it turns out Louisville might be a solid team. Notre Dame, I think, is a solid team and in terms of their talent, top 10, but they weren't in there because they only played Louisville, haven't done anything, looking at their resume, super impressive or anything. And the only reason they come in here now is because I think they're kind of the best of the rest. You look at, New Mexico's not a huge win either, I should say, but a bunch of other teams have this similar scheduling, so I don't think anybody did enough to hop over Notre Dame. I think they're deserving of the 10th spot, and they play Georgia this week, so that could be big time for this power rankings next week. We'll see what happens there. Notre Dame at Georgia. And another slight change here, Wisconsin going from 10 to 9. I think underrated in terms of any other rankings, the AP poll. I know much like everyone else, Wisconsin really hasn't played the best competition. It seems like scheduling is getting weaker and weaker for everybody, really. But Wisconsin just impressed me. The way they execute, they haven't gave up a single point yet. So they're definitely deserving of being in the top 10 of my rankings. And they got Michigan now, so that should be a fun game, and that could shake things up in my rankings. But now we're going to go through pretty quickly because the Gators are still at 8. Impressive comeback against Kentucky with Felipe Franks out, and he'll be done for the year. And it looks like they had a little more offense with the backup. Are they better now that way, or do they have some momentum or some, motivation, I should say, that Franks went out? So I guess we'll learn quickly about the new look Gators. I guess they got Tennessee this week, though. It should be a win. Tennessee did look pretty good last week, but they did play Chattanooga. So they stay at 8. Auburn's at number 7. No movement there. They get some bonus points for playing that Oregon team in week 1 and beating them because that's a tough game, a good win. And unlike some other teams, they actually had like I said, a tough game in there, a tough opponent. So got to respect them for that. I love their defense. Love Derek Brown, one of my favorite players for the upcoming NFL draft on the defensive side of the ball there. And they play Texas A&M this week, so that will also affect the rankings. I still think A&M, I'm still high on their offense, and them taking on this Auburn defense should be a lot of fun. It could put Auburn up higher if they win, or it can get A&M back in these rankings even though they have a loss. So that should be, now we're starting to see some good games coming up finally in college football. Ohio State's still at 6. I want to see them face a little tougher competition. I guess that'll come. I feel like they're easily the favorites in the Big Ten. I think the rest of the Big Ten teams, honestly, besides Wisconsin, are maybe a little overrated. I want to see a little more of Wisconsin still. They haven't really played anybody, but they've been impressive. But Ohio State, I wish they played a little tougher teams, but they're still the best team in the Big Ten by a landslide. They're still at number 6. Still at number 5 is Oklahoma. I like them in week 1. We haven't seen too much of them since. Want to see a little better competition, and unfortunately the Big 12 isn't looking that talented this year. There's still some good teams, but other than Oklahoma and Texas, it's just not really the same as what it used to be. But Oklahoma looks good. Once again, the offense I'm not worried about at all. It's mainly the defense. At parts of that Houston game, I'm like, maybe this defense improved from last year, but we'll kind of see. Still a test that needs to be done here. They're at number 5, definitely contending for the playoffs. Number 4 is Georgia. Staying at number 4. They played a good Vanderbilt team since then, and they dominated that game since then. They have really played nobody, basically. Now they got Notre Dame, and a win against a team like that could boost them up, depending on what the other teams do. So I'm really looking forward to that game tomorrow night, actually. Number 3 is still Alabama. The Duke win was impressive, but it's not super impressive. Other than that, yeah, a bunch of weak scheduling. South Carolina, I expected them. I'm not going to give them. I'm not going to take points away from them not beating a team by as much as I thought they would, but I guess they started a little slow. Sometimes they start a little slow, but then they really get going. But the talent is there. The team is ridiculous. There's a number of guys you can put in the game, and they can dominate, really. So Alabama has been dominant, but they're at number 3 because the top 2 teams have impressed me more with their competition and the way they execute right now. And number 2 is still LSU. That big win over Texas is what has them up here. Also, they proved to me that they can play on both sides of the ball. Finally, LSU has an offense. Finally, LSU has a legit quarterback. Joe Burrow looks very, very good and very much improved. Fun to watch. This is a complete team, and it's crazy that they're an offensive team mainly, and it's exciting. It's exciting, and a big win over Texas and how they impressed me and execute on both sides of the ball is the reason they are at number 2 and still at number 2, and then still at number 1 is Clemson. Their big win over Texas A&M a couple weeks ago, showing me that they still have a top-tier defense, maybe the best defense, even though losing that front 4 on the defensive line. And that's what stands out. I know what they're going to give from the offense. In the first couple weeks, playing a little weaker competition, they dominated, but it was kind of Travis Etienne carrying. And then a couple weeks ago, they showed me they belong at 1 because of the A&M win, and showing me they got more on both sides of the ball, mainly the defense I wanted to see without that front 4. And they shown that. That was a good A&M offense that they pretty much shut down. Garbage time touchdown. That was 2 weeks ago, though. Last week, just not enough to change any of this. There was really nothing going to push a team forward, any of these teams, I should say, forward, or push a team back. Some other teams, now this page was updated. Some other teams we'll talk about who dropped from the rankings. I had Maryland at 9. Did I actually think they were, when it's all said and done, a top 10 talented team? Most likely not, but they deserve to be 9 because how they were dominating. Temple went in there and surprised everybody and surprised them. Impressive. So Temple's a team to keep an eye on. Still would definitely want to see more. But the best of the rest that didn't make the top 10, Central Florida looks impressive once again. Utah looks really good. Defense looks really good. I just want to see them, play somebody better. Texas A&M, I still think a high-powered offense. They have 1 loss versus Clemson. We're going to start to see them play better teams, so we'll get a great understanding of what they're about. I think this team could be good. Very good. Oregon, I think their talent is there. I think they have top 10 talent easily. They're going to start playing some better teams. The Pac-12 is looking pretty solid, actually. So they can rise up. Still think they probably should have won that Auburn game, but that's their own fault. They got a little too conservative, so Oregon could be well into the top 10 right now. Texas, their 1 loss is to my number 2 team, LSU, so Texas is still a very good team. They'll have their chances coming up, especially with an Oklahoma game at one point this season. And then Michigan, they have not been impressive, but they're still belonging to the best of the rest. They're going to start playing some better teams, so if they can beat a team like Wisconsin, they definitely can get in there. They'll have Notre Dame, and they'll have other Big Ten matchups that can get them in there. Washington State has been super impressive. Mike Leach, continues to do it. Great coach. Another good quarterback stepping up, and really the defense is really improved over the years for Washington State, but they really can run up the score as well. And then Penn State, still would like to see them play somebody, but they definitely get an honorable mention here. So that's going to do it for this one, a little quicker than normal because not a whole bunch of change, but I expect some change to come because the better scheduling is on the way. I have been very disappointed with the scheduling a lot of these good teams so far, and I think it's the college football playoffs doing with only 4 teams. They're kind of playing it safe, and the whole idea that some teams play conference championships, some teams don't. I think that's why teams like Alabama just play the teams they did, and then Georgia played Murray State and Arkansas State. So I think that'll be the reason. So you can't blame them too much. I just don't really like it as a huge college football fan. But it's going to start to pick up, and I'm excited. So hopefully you can join us for the future videos. We also have NFL content as well, so check it out. Please subscribe. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.